Jay Bear Hot.
Oh, hi, Baru. How have you been?
I've been alright. I've been kind of, I guess I would say about how I've been feeling is that I've been generally indifferent.
Okay.
A feeling of neutrality, a pure stasis.
Kind of like you're jogging in place, or more like you're deteriorating, but not, I don't know, aggressively.
Kind of like I'm sitting in a chair, a comfy
Okay.
chair,
Okay.
and looking at something and going, huh. Alright.
Oh, that's therapy. What you just described is called therapy.
Oh, right. I've been doing
you're
therapy.
in therapy right now, yeah. And what I'm having you look at is a Rorschach test, actually.
Oh, I see. Huh.
And so actually, it's funny you say that, because by saying that that's what you feel when you look at it, from a clinical perspective, that actually tells us a lot about how you feel about, like your life, your family, your situation. So are you? Would you say that right now what you're feeling is that you're looking at your own life and feeling like you could do better?
Well, let me put it this way. I miss World of Warcraft.
Okay, well, World of Warcraft is still around. I wouldn't recommend it.
It's not the same. It's not
Okay.
the same. I
So
want to
you
go.
feel like you're.
I
you
just
feel like
want
you're
to
missing
go
something.
back to 2006.
2009. Oh, 2010.
Whenever. I mean, I was just experience the early rollout of early World of Warcraft. Yeah, something about sitting in that chair for 12 hours a day, having your mind constantly occupied by MMORPG busy work, really induces a sense of stasis. And I think that's kind of what I'm remembering and what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
And you'll never guess what. You'll never guess what. I saw.
Did you watch a movie about? Did you watch a movie about machinimas?
I watched Eat the Night, a 2024 French flick.
Let me eat the night. That's
Eat the night.
Honestly, for a gay movie from France or wherever, not a lot of Eurobeat. Kind of disappointed.
Yeah, there could have been way, way more. I mean, there was like club music, but we need the corny shit. We need the goofy Italo disco.
I guess there's like, what was it, like a dancehall track that
Oh yeah.
what's his name keeps listening to. I say what's his name because I opened the Wikipedia page to have as a reference for the names, and wouldn't you know it, they're not on there.
They're hidden in the paragraphs. You have to really go looking for them.
I'm not gonna Night. So yeah, the song that Night really likes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so tell me about Eat the Night, which I guess I'm realizing now is supposed to be a pun on his name. I didn't really get that from the film. I just kind of was like, okay, eat the night. That's like some like French phrase. That's some like when you eat the night. I assumed it.
Hey, we all know that feeling when you go out there and you eat that night.
I assumed it was like, the French version of like burning the midnight oil. And so like in France, it's a beautiful name like Le Petit Je ne sais quoi midnight Francais à lait du fromage. And so when they translate it to English, it's just, eat the night, because, you go out there and you're just eating that night up. You're just...
Yeah, I mean...
But apparently it's actually a metaphor, because Pablo eats night, like a pawn eats a knight in a chess game. Or
Ooh.
a video game.
Ooh.
Huh?
Yes, one could say he is consumed. So Eat the Night, it's a film. It begins with this brother and sister, Apolline and Pablo.
Yes.
And they're obsessed with this video game called Dark Noon. Let's talk about Dark Noon. What did you think of Dark Noon?
I love the opening sequence that's just a bunch of, like, Dark Noon footage over the years of this character's memory. And how the line between, like, what is, air quotes, actual in-game footage and, like, what is clearly her memories of it are very unclear. I assume that's the intent. Yeah. Because, like, for every shot they have where it's, like, character, like default character pose, Fortnite dance emoji, pull out a giant slice of pizza that doesn't even fit and just kind of, like, roughly clips into her body as she eats it. There'll be, like, these, like, cinematic, like, Final Fantasy The Spirits Within fucking ass, like, scenes. So I'm assuming it's, like, okay, we're seeing a mix of, like, what the game looks like and, like, what it looks like to her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of...
I thought it was awesome, though. It looked like some, like, Big Lots shit. Like, some shit you find at, like, a fucking retailer, and you're like, I've never heard of this game. I've, like, never heard of it. Not even a 7 out of 10, like a 6 out of 10.
It's kind of like... There's things I love, and the things I kind of, like, tilt my head at, but I still kind of also love. The fact that it's, like, supposedly this, like, ancient, like, 20-year-old game, but it looks like Elden Ring. And I mean,
I allowed that a little bit. I will admit, seeing this, like, runs at 30 FPS on your Steam Deck ass game, but she's running it on, like, not even an Alienware, like, fucking laptop.
Yeah, she starts out on non-Alienware hardware.
Yeah, very funny. But I was like, okay, it looks right. Like, it at least looks like the kind of shitty budget game I would have been playing in, like, 2006. Or that I'm playing right now. Like, like that, like, there's shit I'm playing right now that looks like this fucking game.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was awesome. I like that it doesn't get bogged down in trying to explain what a video game is to you or explain really what you're looking at, because it kind of assumes a degree of familiarity with it, but also if you're not familiar with it, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, my big thing was, like, I guess I kind of wanted there to be more Dark Noon, and I really kind of liked all of the different touches where there's, like, different types of scenes within the game. Like, there's some where they're, like, fully, like, the player character model with, like, the in-game hair, and then there's, like, weird parts where they're, like, their head, their actual human real-life head is on the player character's body, and they're doing all of this, like, elaborate face acting that I was, like, actually very impressed by from such a, I guess, smallish film.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's really, I would say that, like, that comes so late in it too, that it also kind of, it's a thing that I both like, but, like, I held against the film in the sense of, like, with those opening scenes I was talking about, they're all just her player character. But then in these later scenes, it's the, like, her playing player character, and that's where it's like, okay, well then wait, is, like, clearly these scenes are representative of, like, how she's thinking of and remembering this game. So is every scene where it's not her what the game actually looks like? Because sometimes those not her moments look like the game.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the scenes where it's her playing the character looks like a shitty video game still.
Right, yeah.
And I kind of would have liked... it's not like it needed to be clearly delineated, but it kind of feels like some parts of it were developed before they decided to have these scenes of them playing the characters, or like, you know, later on as they were making it, they're like, okay, we can't like afford to do like the same character acting thing that we're doing again, so just do like, you know, like just use the same generic models we were using before.
Yeah, I mean, hard to say. I wasn't really bothered by it necessarily. Was it distracting? I guess a little bit. Having to kind of like cognitively go, whoa, what's happening now? But I don't know, the stylization of it is all really good. So we have this game that like is mostly tied to Apolline. Pablo also plays it with her, but Apolline is kind of like more into it. It seems.
I definitely took it as if you're going to be linking it to like the symbolism of their relationship, it's the sort of Apolline is kind of, she's like what, 17 I think she says at one point, maybe 16. And so Pablo, being her older brother but clearly very close in age, is kind of implied to probably be like somewhere between like 18 and 20.
Yeah.
So I took it as like, from what she tells us, you can thus construct that they have been playing this since they were probably about middle school aged. And so it's sort of that the game kind of stands in, and their relationship to the game stands in to that way in which siblings who are close in age when they're younger have this like really tight-knit closeness to them, where it's still like defined by the older sibling as, you know, the older one. So he's like, they're the responsible one. They're the one being mature. Like, they're the one like who like protects and takes care of their younger sibling.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, once you hit like mid to late teens, every year difference in age is like massive change, like massive jumps in like development and responsibility.
Yeah.
And so I took that as it's very like they're changing a relationship to it very reflects this kind of like cleaving of the way in which that age gap between them becomes so much larger and feels so much more insurmountable with siblings as they approach the age where one of them becomes an adult first. And so kind of immediately there's the like, well, one's the adult and one's the child now.
Yeah.
Because even as the film starts, it's sort of implied that cleaving has already kind of started.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And you see that very present in kind of how Pablo has this whole other life, essentially as a drug dealer. He basically deals like Molly, I think it is.
Yeah. I think it's like implied that he technically deals other things, but they never show him dealing other things. He kind of, from his own words, just buys Molly off the dark web and then presses it into pills, and then sells it to people who apparently don't know how to order Molly off the dark web.
It's the dark web. It's right there. It's easy. It's like Amazon. What's so hard about it? You just get a little bit of crypto, whatever.
I guess I don't know enough about drug deal culture to know if it's really that accurate. But I feel like the people in the bracket of ordering from like Silk Road in bulk and then selling it to like their community usually doesn't go through the amount of steps that he goes through. I feel like it's usually like, oh yeah, I bought a brick of whatever cocaine and I just hit it with a hammer until parts of it break off. But yeah. So he has this whole little racket of just buying Molly on the internet, which okay. And then like I guess just like combine, I guess just like from there he adds more to it. Yeah. I think he cuts it with like speed or something, but he says like speed or caffeine, but he prefers speed because it feels more appropriate or something. He gives some like explanation to why he picks speed, but he's like, but you can also use caffeine.
Then Pablo meets Knight.
Yes.
This
Or rather, Pablo gets his ass kicked outside of like Walmart. At night, it's just like, you good? You alright, man? Just got your ass kicked.
It's kind of a nice little meet cute for them. You know, one of them is like bleeding sexily.
That's true. Yeah. No, that is it's cute.
And yeah, their relationship expands. It becomes first they become drug dealer friends, and Knight is like helping press the pills. And then they start making out and fucking.
Yeah. Really, I guess France is just more progressive in that way, that he could just be like, hey, guy I just met that I'm starting to sell drugs with, and just makes a move. And apparently it's not a big deal at all.
Yeah. I mean, in America, we have ethics, committees. We have human resources that you have to kind of go through things like that.
You have to submit being gay. You have to submit your gay permit to get it like accredited.
And make sure that shit's up to date.
Your local polykill council has to approve the adding of any new tertiary or hires. And then once you get like, once you're in a co-working space together, the American version of this would be that it would be at a WeWork. Is that all of this would be taking place at a WeWork? I'm just, this is why you never see like Walt and Jesse get together. Because they just don't want to deal with the paperwork.
Yeah, that's true. That's really the only reason. Otherwise, they'd be getting cum all over those WeWork desks.
But yeah, no, he meets Knight, who is a great character. A great performance.
Yes.
But kind of a weakly written character.
Yes, I would say so. There's a lot that happens with Knight that I don't, love. Namely, the, like, kind of weird incest love triangle that, like, whenever a French movie has a brother and sister, my, like, alarm bells go off.
You just start, yeah, no, I mean, kind of same. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, kind of same. Yeah,
like there's
it's
just gonna
a
be
little
something
worrying.
weird. Some nauseating like boundary pushing, of trying to make out with your trying to make out with your brother's boyfriend,
with your brother's boyfriend's avatar.
Yeah.
That is pretending to be a Canadian boy of the same age as you.
Right.
But also the weird French, like, jealousy thing going on that's very, like, we're not saying that there's weird sublimated feelings there. We're just heavily implying that there is.
Yeah. There's like an undercurrent for sure. And I don't know. I guess I just find it boring. It's so obvious and it's so French.
That the long dark shadow of oh god, how am I blanking on his fucking name? You know who I'm talking about.
Gaspar Noé?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. I love knowing
Gaspar
exactly
Noé.
what you were talking about.
I just was like the French incest guy, but like
yeah.
The French incest guy.
Numero uno.
Head Sibcon honcho. So yeah, that's the setup. right? Then is this weird, not love triangle, but like, I guess a tension triangle.
Yeah.
Between Pablo and his drug trade with Knight, and Pablo's sister and the video game that they share together.
Yes.
And then, you know, I would argue that alone is a great narrative through line. You know, you've got a perfect tight little human drama. You've got a cool tension between like the kind of practical reality of like drug deals and stuff, and then the fantastical virtual reality, if you will, of drug trades and stuff. So I think it's all set to be good. So of course,
yeah,
the movie's like, what if we add some like other crazy stuff to the narrative? And that is kind of where it starts to get annoying.
Yeah. So a lot happens really, really fast. Pablo gets arrested, and Knight is basically beaten into a coma.
Well, okay, I feel like that's you're kind of jumping ahead there.
Yeah.
What really happens is that the guys who beat the shit out of him are like a cartoon gang. They're the fucking They're the fucking weasels from Roger Rabbit. And there's this sociopath guy who's like the head of their little gang, and an assassin who is shown up to establish that he's like a guy who kills people for them, and then just like has nothing to do for the rest of the film but like hang out. And it becomes this increasing escalation territory war because Pablo is cutting in on their territory by being just some guy who also sells drugs, I guess. And you know, it's first he tases one of the guys in the group.
Yes.
And then those guys like find out and hunt him down, and so they frame him to get him arrested. And then Knight overreacts and goes to go burn down the head guy's house, but then he finds out that guy has a father in hospice care, so he doesn't. But the guy who's running it like finds out and sees the video footage of it and flips the fuck out.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I want him fucked. And so they go and beat the shit out of out of Knight, and then send the video to Pablo. And so Pablo breaks out of prison and drives his car into the building where they all work and kills one of the guys. And all of this is going on top of this increasing drama with Adeline and her and Pablo, because he doesn't care about the game so much anymore, but the game is shutting down in 45 days, and this is like really important to her, and they're talking about like, what do you think is going to happen when it all ends? And, you know, she has this image that it's going to be this massive apocalyptic event, and, you know, he's like, well, it's probably just going to like turn off.
Right.
And so the problem is that the problem I had is that the movie sends so much time on the drug stuff that it eats up any of the compelling aspects of the film. Because the whole drug war narrative is so boring and generic, and none of the characters' motivations or actions make sense. Why does Knight go to burn the guy's house down? Yeah, I get that they sent his boyfriend to jail, but before that happens, his boyfriend calls him and he's like, yeah, I'll be out in like 3 months. Like, okay, you haven't even been dating this guy for 3 months. Like, and you're gonna go burn a house down because he had to go to jail on like a French misdemeanor. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I remember sitting in the theater thinking, okay, and then this is gonna happen. Okay, and then this is gonna happen. Like, literally, it was like, you could see 5 steps ahead. It was like, okay, and then they're gonna get him in jail, and then Knight's gonna want to retaliate, and then they're gonna retaliate against Knight, and then, blah, 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 blah. Like, the only thing that was, like, emotive and interesting in contrast to that was, like, all of the stuff that was still about the video game. Because, yeah, that stuff was just really, really boilerplate and just, like, really bad.
That's why it baffles me, because all of that stuff is so boilerplate and so boring. And it's like, I get thematically how it links. Thematically, it links to the fact that she is experiencing the end of this game as like an apocalyptic event.
Right.
She's a teenager, she's emotionally dysregulated, she's not very well socialized. She's losing this connection to this only other person she's really well connected to, which is her brother. It's kind of explicitly shown that, like, their father, like, their mom's not really around. I think she's dead. And their dad is not around at all because he's always off on business and is kind of shown to be, like, maybe a little abusive.
Yeah.
So, she's experiencing... She is both experiencing the end of this video game as an apocalyptic event, and also, the flux and changes of her life and the fears of being a young teen girl entering into an adulthood without any visible support network, really. And the one that you did have is starting to, like, move away, is an apocalyptic event, and so she's putting all of those feelings into this game and making the apocalyptic event of the game part of that making that part of her emotional apocalypse. And so I get how that all links to, your brother is involved in something that's really dangerous. At some point it's going to cause something where he has to, like, go away for a while, or, like, he might get fucking killed, like, he might go away forever. Yeah. I get all of that. But all of that stuff is less emotionally resonant than the video game parts of it, which feels so backwards to the narrative.
Yeah.
And I feel like even that would be fine if the film didn't spend so much more time on the part of it that is, like, completely fucking, like, I feel I was watching, like, a fucking, like, one of those red box action movies half the time. And it sucks because it takes away from the stuff that's, like, really good in the film. Like, it's really, like, the gay relationship. While Knight and Pablo don't necessarily have what I would consider a well-written anything, the actors had good chemistry. They portrayed it very well. There's a lot of really sweet small moments between them. When Knight is trying to establish this relationship with Adeline, Apolline. That's all really, really sweet. Again, it's not necessarily the best written, but, like, the characters really bring a lot to it. The actress for Apolline, incredible performance. Literally is able to make something as simple as, like, oh, my brother's gone, I'm gonna pull out my expensive fucking cosplay for my character and put it on and just, like, look at myself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Like, really, and just, like, the way she, like, just conveys so much about her character in that one scene, just in the way the, like, actress, like, holds her body and, like, positions herself with this on versus how we've been seeing her, like, for the rest of the film. And so it makes it really disappointing that it's not backed up in any way.
I like where it ends up going. There's this fantastic scene of the actual end of the MMO happening, and Pablo's basically just gotten out of, just broken out of prison through this elaborate sort of ruse involving injuring himself, and like they are trying to reach each other in this like huge town square where everybody's like dancing and emoting because it's the end of the world. And they freeze right before they can reach each other. And then everybody disappears, and all of these corpses
kind of like just spawn in.
These corpses just like spawn in and start like falling to the ground. I thought it was a really smart scene, like really smartly executed. Again, in contrast to so much else of what happens in the movie.
Right? No, it's that's what makes it so disappointing, is that it's like, oh, you have what is like a very clearly well thought out little sequence, and then you have so much of the rest of the film which is like could be fucking anything.
Yeah. I think they had like a spectacular 30-page script that needed, like, they felt needed more content. I don't know. I would have loved to see like the short film version that's like less trying to wear the clothes of a gangster film.
Yeah. No, I think that's the best way to put it, is that it's and I don't, it makes me wonder, is it like they wanted to do this crime movie and they had this really good idea, or is it just they couldn't think of a good real, air quotes, real world narrative?
Right, yeah.
And so this is kind of what they went with, but it kind of was like, well, this narrative doesn't really matter as much as like everything else. But then because it's so weak, everything else kind of like sags in the direction of that narrative. I did kind of think, how do I want to put this? I felt kind of weird about, okay, I don't have a problem with a movie being like cruel.
Yeah.
And I honestly thought the movie was going to be way more cruel than it actually ended up being.
Yeah.
But I don't like that a good chunk of the cruelty lands on Knight, who is just like there are two main black characters in the movie. One of them is is the killer guy, who's like fucking like, oh, I'm the epic badass killer guy,
right.
Who, like I said, does the one kill and then fucking nothing else for the rest of the film but like hang out. And then there's Knight, and Knight basically gets the worst shit that happens to him.
Yeah, he gets the worst, shittest end of the stick that any character gets.
And it's over like I said, it's over like a relationship that, because we know that they met right when this thing with the game was started, that we know has only been going on for 45 days.
Right, yeah.
And so I wasn't crazy about that.
Just
is what I will say.
The idea of like getting in a relationship with some white boy and then like 45 days later you're basically fucking dead.
Yeah. Because like they don't even give you, like, they don't even do like what I expected, which was, or like what seems like it's going for at first, which is he's in a coma. Because like I thought it was gonna be like, oh, he's in a coma, and then Pablo also overreacts, and then it turns out it's like, well, actually he's fine. He just got the shit kicked out of him. No, they go out of their way to say, oh yeah, he's probably never gonna wake up, and if he is, he has permanent brain damage, so he's basically like who he was is he's never gonna he's never gonna go back to who he was.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened to him? He's literally never gonna recover from.
Oy.
And again, I don't mind that. Okay, I do mind it, but like, I get that there's an emotional. I think the way it's done in the film is hacky. I think it's cheap emotional, like, pow. And the fact that it's really cheap and happens to one of two black characters in the film, and the other black character in the film is portrayed as like fucking a John Wick assassin.
Yeah.
Who also, again, doesn't have any character role outside of he's shown to kill someone once, so you know that this gang is bad news. I don't know, just doesn't leave a good taste in my mouth. I just don't like it.
Yep, I agree.
I mean, okay, I guess to be fair, he's technically not there is also technically his sister and his niece, but they're kind of in that extension. They're really there as just extensions of his character.
Yeah,
if we want to be honest, they're really just there to make his coma even more like upsetting. Like,
exactly, they're just kind of there to wring the sadness out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty egregious, but I don't know.
And again, I think if it didn't also feel so cheap, it wouldn't leave as bad of a taste in my mouth, because it would feel more like he's being treated as a real character of a real narrative in the film.
Yeah.
But he's kind of treated as like, you know, this. He's treated as this fantasy boyfriend.
Yeah.
I want you to help me with deal drugs. And he's just immediately like, okay. Let's get in a relationship. Okay. I had to go to jail for 3 months because I was doing drugs. I'll kill them. But I'm such a good guy that I'm not going to kill this poor old man in hospice. But we're never going to like revisit anything related to that scene or dynamic. That guy's also just there to just reinforce what a good guy I am. So it's really sad that I died.
He should have burned down that fucking place with the old guy in it.
I think that would have been so much funnier.
Yeah, that would be great. Just make him like a sociopath. Who cares? He should fuck it. He should still live.
Yeah. Or even like add like 2 more rounds of escalation so that it makes sense why we got there, right? Because again, I don't understand why his boyfriend, who attacked a gang member and whose consequence for that was that he got caught dealing drugs, a thing he was doing,
right?
And so going to jail for 3 months necessitates I gotta burn the guy's house down.
I gotta fucking kill these motherfuckers.
Like, I get Pablo's response.
Yeah.
I don't get Knight's response. I don't get how it jumped from, we set you up to like go to jail for, again, a thing he was doing, a thing that was like the risk of what they were doing.
Yeah. You know, they went into it knowing the risks and rewards, and so on and so forth. I mean, yeah, he gets busted at the stupidest possible, like, fucking drug deal, too. He gets got in, like, a hotel room trying to sell to, like, a 15-year-old.
So fun. What I like about it is that, like, the cops clearly don't even check. They're just like, how old are you? 15. They turn to, you're a sick man. You're going to jail for the longest sentence possible in France. 3 months.
You're going into a cell with only 1 plasma screen TV.
15? Spits on the ground. If she was 12, we'd give you a month, but 15 is disgusting. Practically an adult.
My God.
Because the French people are, anyway.
Anyway,
shout out, Saliva. Was a musician who did the music for it, and I kept thinking, this music's really good. And then I saw his name in the end credits, and I was like, yo, that dude shit rules. All the, like, housey music, but, like, deconstructed-y house, that's him. That's
Cool.
that's what his music sounds like. Good shit. I like it. Check him out.
Good work, Saliva.
But yeah, other than that, I don't know. The problem is that for as much as the like MMO machinima shit was like really cool, the flaws of the film really just kind of obscured it and made the film feel so much more hollower and empty. And I wish it was better. You should still go see it.
Yeah.
But, you know, expect it to be mid. Expect it to be a mid-art film.
Oh yeah, it's one of them.
I also do love the bit where Pablo and Apolline are arguing in Dark Noon, and they're just doing Fortnite dances at each other.
Yeah, that's so
while
real.
having that argument.
It's real sibling argument shit. Just dancing, emoting at each other to try to rage bait as much as possible.
And then enabling PvP, enabling team killing.
I loved the anecdote about them just like, oh, I was at my birthday party, and then it got out of control, and we killed everybody. And it's just like, y'all enabled PvP and killed everybody at your birthday party? That's psychotic.
So fucking funny.
Well, I think this movie was better than Ready Player One.
Oh, that's, I mean, fair. I was going to say, oh, that's cheating. And then I thought about it and I was like, yeah, all right, fair enough, yeah.
Ever since my glowing review of Ready Player One several years ago.
To be fair, your glowing review was like you took an edible to it and felt like you were on a roller coaster the entire time.
Yeah, that was my review.
Which is the highest that a movie like that could possibly achieve.
I mean, yeah, the theater experience was its own separate thing. But the movie and the way that it portrays its kind of virtual world, I guess it's, in a sense, it's like one of the more accurate, like, VR portrayal movies, in terms of just, like, everything being, like, IP slop.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, like, something about the way that it portrays its virtual world, I think Dark Noon's clunkiness and, like, actual sort of interest in the artifice of video gaming, I kind of preferred. So yeah, I mean, you know, Ready Player One sucks. You don't need me to tell you that.
I do think that's the big, I think the thing that the film gets is that the thing that the film gets is that it should be clunky. Is that's kind of part of the appeal of games, is that gap between what it actually can be and what it like actually is.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like seeing the shitty graphics. I like seeing the goofy, stilted movements of the player characters. I don't want to see weird, fucking animated, fucking Tintin shit. But yeah, you do you have any movies that you think this was better than?
I thought this was better, and I'm gonna have to re-grab the name of it real quick. I'm kind of cheating by using what is technically a short film. But
what the?
I liked this better. In fact, I'm actually gonna be using short films for both. But I liked this better than. But actually, you know what? I'm gonna cheat on this one. Like all of John Ralphman's work, just like any of it. He has like two specific ones I was thinking of. There's one that is just a bunch of like levels, like it's just video game levels, and it's really boring and it's really lazy. And it's so of that like specific era when like everyone was obsessed with Second Life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He did one short film that I can't even fucking find the name of right now. That was just like a montage of like video game levels where he's just like, from like the player point of view, but they're like, oh, they're empty. Isn't that crazy? Oh, it makes you think about like the virtual environments and the worlds we're in. Oh, shit like that. And then he has like another one that's about that's like a drama told with kids like cosplaying. And it's kind of a similar vibe to this, but it's much more forgettable. But I am gonna cheat and just say all of John Rothman's work. The reason I consider him such a huge fucking hack is because he engages with all of this stuff in such a like, oh, I'm like above it.
Is he the one that did that stupid 106 Point Never video?
Yes. The short I was thinking of was A Man Digging, which is a short film where it's all just like levels in video games, but like, like, oh, it's my character standing in this like strip club after there was like a shooting, and it's first person, and it's just like, wow, look at the like environment and stuff. And it's, again, it's very like, oh, isn't this like so crazy? Like this is like art now because I made a thing of it. But it's like, okay, but those were made by like people. Like those are made by like other artists. Like, you're discovering that these environments that these people made for you to experience as art works, even if they are stupid shooters. Wow, they're artworks. Who would have fucking like? That's what I mean. He treats it so much as like, oh, I'm like above this. Like the phrase he described A Man Digging as is an evocative journey through the uncanny spaces of video game massacre, and it's Max Payne 3. It's such
what a dork.
I know. I fucking hate his work. I fucking hate almost everything I've ever seen from him do. And so I would say A Man Digging is significantly worse than this, because at the very least this film feels like it's made by people who like have a sincere engagement with what they're working on.
Yeah. I agree. I think Dark Noon is like very lived in and very adored. And
he's also that fucking. Did you ever have to take like that shit in like college when people were obsessed with like, oh, the digital art era, and there's this guy who goes around as like the Kool-Aid man. Oh, what's so weird, and he's like exploring Second Life as like, oh, these like digital identities and stuff. That was him. That was also him.
I hate that.
Yeah, I fucking hate his work. I fucking hate the way he engages with it. And I'm not even like a like video games are art person, but it's like you're engaging with like this video game is art, but like from the perspective of someone who's like, I bet that just blew your mind.
This video game may be art, but I'll tell you what it isn't. Labor.
Yeah. John Rothman just, hey, guess what he's really into right now?
Oh god. AI.
Yep.
I fucking knew it. Every fucking hack in the world.
He is 46 years old playing with a computer toy.
Stupid. Stupid man. Stupid man.
So yes, I would say Eat the Night is better than that.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, the question arises, what is Eat the Night worse than? And I know my answer. I kind of liked, David Cronenberg's Existence better than Eat the Night.
Oh, no, that makes sense. Also a video game movie.
Video game movie. So the great thing about Existence, is that it is kind of on the complete other end of the spectrum of something that's like actually interested in being like a machinima. Which I guess you can kind of partially chalk up to technical limitations of 1999. But it portrays the VR world in these like filmed sequences that are like non-CGI. They're all just like really fucking weird, and everybody's acting really fucking weird the whole movie. It's a heavily campy little Cronenberg romp. And everybody gets an extra little butthole that they put their controller into their little extra butthole, and that's funny. I love that.
I'm cheating again by doing another short film, and I know that after everything I just said about John Hoffman, it'll sound like a funny, like a what pick.
Uh-huh.
I think Eat the Night has less to say about the way you engage with video games in like a sort of dissociative, seeking manner than a short film called Rehearsals for Retirement by Phil Solomon. Of important note here, 2007, so like several years before John Hoffman started doing his shtick.
Wow.
But Rehearsals for Retirement is specifically from a series of videos he did, which are kind of similar to the thing I was just describing with A Man Digging, but it's in Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas specifically. And the thing that's interesting about it is that it is, one, something that you can just immediately tell is made by somebody who had to take time to really get to know the game's engine and in and out, because there's a lot of use of like mods and cheats very obviously in it.
Mm-hmm.
And two, it like, rather than feeling like, oh, did you ever notice that this stuff is like art? I feel the thing that I really like about this series of short films he did, but specifically Rehearsals for Retirement, is that it feels like when you have so thoroughly played through and beaten a game and know it inside and out that you just kind of go back to it for nostalgia and just fuck around. Like, so much of it is just like scenes of the character like driving through like tunnels, like empty tunnels, or like first person view going through the car wash just to be like, oh, what does this look like when you're actually inside the car wash? Or like, oh, I'm gonna like use the mod to make this car fly, and I'm gonna like see how far out of the map I can fly before like you know, things just start despawning, and so you're like, okay, well, what's like way out here if I just keep flying? It's like a really creative use of just like the game engine, but it's engaging with it in a way that is not just like transformative, but is transformative in the way people actually play games. And I feel like it's an little art piece that's speaking in the same register as like speedrunners, modders, like fan wikis that like break down and like strip a game down to its parts to try to know every single thing about it. And so I find the way that it engages with that text like really haunting, and it's like really nice. And I feel like it kind of it slides. It feels so much like the same place Apolline is in, but I like that it is told entirely within the game. It is. There's no real narrative to it. It is a full machinima, but it captures that feeling without explicitly telling you that that's the feeling that it is.
That's fucking awesome. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, no, and it's short. It's like 12 minutes. I know that there's like, I think 1 or 2 other videos he did in the same genre, but that's the one that I personally find like the most effective. Not in the genre, but in the series. But that's the one I find most effective. So yeah, that was mine. My other pick I almost did was Stay Alive, a movie that I have seen, no joke, dozens of times now, and kind of goes in the opposite direction, and that it is a video game movie made by people who don't understand anything about video games, and it fucking rules for that reason. It is the Frankie Muniz horror film where they get they're like, oh dude, we got this like illegal like street game like from my friend who died, and it turns out that the game has the ghost of Elizabeth Bathory in it, and if you die in the game you die for real, and it is one of the stupidest like goofiest fucking horror films I've ever seen. It has things like a scene where they're all sitting around playing the co-op in the game with one disc on a PlayStation 2, and there's 5 of them. And there's 5 of them sitting down with their controllers playing this game on one PlayStation 2. And also their 6th friend is playing online from his computer at the office.
That PS2 is run through.
Yeah, it's just the, like, a scene that is just the most, like, okay, so you don't know anything about games. My still top favorite bit, like, subtle, campy bit in the movie, is that there's a scene early on where it's like the boss is like, oh, I keep you on because you give me hints on how to beat the game. And he, like, asks for advice on how to beat the boss in, I think he says Silent Hill 3? And then he tells him how to beat the boss, and it's the wrong Silent Hill game. Like, he describes the boss from Silent Hill 4. It's so fucking funny.
That rules. I think more movies should be blatantly wrong about stuff and just say wrong things, and it's just it's an aspect of the internal logic of the universe that the movie takes place in. That Silent Hill 3 has a Silent Hill 4 boss in it. Why not?
That you can plug 5 controllers into one PS2 for local co-op on a horror game.
You don't know. They could have had, like, the extendomatic, fucking extra ports. You don't know.
But yeah, that's my thing.
Well, that's great. That's all well and good. And I would be remiss not to mention, I made, like, a goofy little visual novel about, MMORPGs called The Curse, that I think tackles this type of thing in an interesting way. It has a similar theme of distance, a relationship becoming distant because of the blah 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 communicated through an MMO blah 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 blah.
That's crazy. I wonder if there's is that a link down below? I see.
Oh my goodness! Oh my god!
How did that get there?
What is that? That's crazy. But yeah, well, thanks for letting me come in here and chat about it today. I guess I have a firmer stance on kind of where I'm at, how I'm feeling here now that I've kind of talked it out.
And I think it's important to note here, from what it sounds like, you were kind of in a place of, like, feeling like you're looking at something that you can be doing better. And it sounds like you already did do better. Download Peru's short film. Look at
my thing. Yeah, well, thank you so much, and if you can hit me with that prescription for some MDMA, that would take that one out the door with me.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah. You know what? We do have RFK in office. There's no way that guy's not gonna just, like, legalize smoking fentanyl.
No, he's just gonna make everybody do colloidal silver.
Yeah, he's just gonna legalize literally putting sawdust back in meat.
Yeah,
back into the meat products.
I mean, they make them cheaper. That's how you get it. That's how you get them cheaper.
That's how he's getting the egg prices down. Is that half of the eggs you get just have sawdust in them. That's how they're gonna lower those prices.
You crack open the egg.
I got the dud egg. Well, at least it's only $7 a box now.
At least it's only 87 credits.
So 87 of my pro-Israel credits.
Oh god. I hate being alive.